Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the May edition of the Lebanon Plan Commission meeting. We will call ourselves to order and note that all members are present, so we have 100% attendance. One quick note just for the audience, both online and in the room. So our new business docket D, which is docket 26-22 on the Braun Property Development LLC, has been continued to the June meeting. So if you're tuning in specifically for that one, just wanted to make a program note that has been continued to the June 15th Plan Commission meeting. All other items will be heard as scheduled. The first kind of regular item that we have on ourselves is the approval of the minutes. I believe everyone has received a copy. So if there are no questions, I would entertain any motions.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Got a motion to approve. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry unanimously.
Okay.
That carries with one abstention. I see no old business before us this evening, so we'll move directly into new business. First item that we have on the docket this evening is 26-19. This is a voluntary annexation zoning conversation. So Ben, what kind of info do you have for us?
Yes, it is a voluntary annexation zoning conversation. Very good. So yeah, we have a series of 100% voluntary annexations that have been requested. This first one is at the estimated addresses of 521 South 225 West and 675 South 225 West. Again, this petition for annexation was filed by the landowner, which is the BT Smith Family LLC. There is not development proposed at this time on these properties. And so what that means is that either the Plan Commission could consider, if there's no development proposal or concept plan, at the discretion of the Plan Commission, a suitable district consistent with the recommendations of the Lebanon Comprehensive Plan. So actually the petitioner had requested that we consider the comprehensive plan when assigning a zoning classification to this property. So that is what we looked at and what I'll show you here in a moment. So this again is the properties you see here, 225 West, whoops. Got a little too aggressive there. 225 West is on the west side of the property, and then Mountain Zion Road is roughly to the south here. You can see the edge of the business park there to the east. Properties around it that are in the city of Lebanon on the north side are all zoned LEAP. And then there are properties to the east that are actually zoned light industrial in addition to the business park. So the southwest area is out still in the county, but the areas that are in the city are zoned non-residential, either associated with LEAP or light industrial. So again, as I said, the petitioner, while they did not have a concept plan, had requested that we consider the comprehensive plan when considering a recommendation for zoning of the property. So this is a very small parcel, so I'll need to actually escape out of this and zoom in so you can actually see where it is. This property is highlighted in yellow here in this yellow box. This color, because it's a little hard to decipher between the two purple colors here, it is the lighter purple color, which is industrial on our future land use map for the comprehensive plan. And so again, because the Plan Commission has the ability at their discretion to consider a zoning district suitable to the comprehensive plan, staff actually reviewed this and determined based on this that the light industrial zoning classification would be appropriate to recommend for this potential annexed territory. That does not mean that development could start tomorrow. With that zoning classification, there are still a lot of plans that would need to be submitted and reviewed, and public would be notified if things were progressing on this property. What this just means is that we've determined based on the comprehensive plan that light industrial uses would be appropriate on this property if it were to be annexed. So again, that is the recommendations for you here tonight. This is approximately 14 acres. And again, I'll just reiterate the addresses: 521 South 225 West and 675 South 225 West. And planning staff has recommended the Plan Commission recommend the light industrial zoning classification for the proposed annexed territory to the Common Council. So again, this is a multi-step process for annexations. The Plan Commission is familiar with now. This is the first step where the Plan Commission, their responsibility is not necessarily to consider the merits of the annexation itself, but to provide a recommendation on a zoning classification to assign to the parcel, and that recommendation is then forwarded to the Common Council. The Common Council then considers the annexation request via ordinance along with the zoning recommendation as part of that annexation ordinance. That does take 2 meetings. The first one will include a public hearing, and then the second meeting then would include consideration of the adoption ordinance. And so that would be the schedule, where this is the first one tonight where the Plan Commission's responsibilities is to assign or basically recommend a zoning classification to assign to an annexation. So with that, I'd be happy to answer questions.
Any questions for Ben from the commission? Do we, oh, go ahead.
Was there, you indicated that to the north, the properties are zoned LEAP. Is there any consideration given to going with a LEAP classification versus a light industrial, something a little more restrictive?
Yeah, I think one thing that's going to be a little challenge in this area, let me zoom back out and maybe go back to the aerial on the first, is because of some of those restrictions. I mean, we certainly could look at that as a possibility. I think if you look at just developing this parcel by itself, it'd be really difficult, particularly the setbacks, to meet the LEAP district requirements without going through probably 14 variances. So yes, that is a possibility. Because we do have a LEAP designation on the comprehensive plan, and this wasn't included in that. That's why we didn't go that direction. Certainly something we could discuss if it made more sense, because the adjacent properties are LEAP in this case. This area is probably going to be a much smaller development. You can't see it here, and maybe Kevin could just walk us through this, but the property to the east, we had to relocate 200 West, and 200 West actually runs through the property to the east. So again, assembling parcels is a little bit more difficult because there's now quite a bit of infrastructure in that area too.
Other questions from the commission? Do we have an applicant this evening that
Not
would
available
like
this
to
evening.
make any? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So hearing no additional questions from the commission, this is an item that does have a public hearing component. So we will open the public hearing for docket 26-19. One thing to please keep in mind, number one, please limit comments to 3 minutes. Please try not to repeat others if it has already been said. And then lastly, just a reminder that the commission is only tasked with giving a recommendation to council on the actual zoning. So this board does not have any action that it can take for the actual annexation, simply the recommendation for the zoning classification. Okay, so with that, I will open the public hearing. Please feel free to step to the microphone. And that is that. Seeing no movement to the microphone, I will close the public hearing. So the public hearing has been officially opened and closed on docket 26-19. And unless there are any follow-up questions from the commission, I would consider any motions.
For docket 2619, I recommend that the Planning Commission recommend the light industrial zoning classification for the proposed annexation territory to the Common Council.
Thank you very much. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry unanimously. Next item up is going to be pretty similar. These first 3 items are basically in the same vein. So this is docket 26-20. Again, a voluntary annexation. And Ben, details on this one for us.
Yeah, so very similarly, this is a petition for annexation that was filed by the B.T. Smith Family LLC. The property is located at the estimated address of 1655 North 500 West. This is an approximately 54-acre property that you can see highlighted here on the map. 500 West, again, is on the west side of the property. It is adjacent to current city limits on the east side of the property. Again, similarly to the last one, there is not a development or concept plan proposed at this time. There is no development anticipated at this time. And so again, this is one where the petitioner, the property owner, has requested we consider a zoning district consistent with the recommendations of the Lebanon Comprehensive Plan. So this is an area that's out to the west of the existing LEAP district. And then you'll see highlighted here, again, I'll zoom in. So this is within the area in the comprehensive plan that was contemplated for the LEAP district that you see highlighted here in the darker purple yellow. And so again, for this annexation, then based on the Lebanon Comprehensive Plan, planning staff did recommend that the Plan Commission recommend the LEAP zoning classification for the proposed annexed territory to the Common Council. Again, be happy to answer any questions.
Property directly east of this, is that the one that just received the use variance?
I'm trying to remember.
BZA?
Is it? Okay. Yes. Yeah, I knew it was close. I couldn't remember if there was a property in between or not, but it sounds like it is the property that was just.
I remember the
Yes.
house.
Yeah. This property here was received the use variance for the laydown yard.
Any additional questions from the commission for Ben? Perfect. Thank you, Ben. So again, this item is a public hearing item, so we will officially open the public hearing on docket 26-20. Again, please, following the same rules as I just spoke about, and the microphone is open.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Hine. I live at 1495 North, 500 West, and I stand before you tonight to oppose the proposed LEAP zoning for these 53.6 acres of land located at 1655 North, 500 West. As a resident and property owner directly impacted by the rapid industrial expansion in this area, I have severe concerns about how this specific zoning designation will affect my home, my quality of life, and our immediate community. Every single day, my neighbors and I endure the heavy traffic, the noise of massive construction equipment, extreme lighting all day and night, and the constant environmental strain due to the nearby mega data center campus being built. The quiet enjoyment of our homes has already been deeply compromised. Standard responsible planning practices are supposed to create a respectful buffer between heavy tech districts and the people who live next to them. Instead, this proposal feels like a direct threat to push that chaos right into our backyards. What makes this incredibly frightening as a property owner is that we are being asked to accept a total mystery. The staff report explicitly states that the petitioner has no actual development or concept plan for this land. Approving this without a concrete plan offers zero protection for local homeowners, leaving us completely in the dark about what is coming next. We are being forced to watch unknown developments move right in next to our homes, creating immediate risk to our peace of mind and our property values. Our daily lives have already been heavily disrupted by the LEAP redistricting and the nonstop noise and light pollution from the metadata construction center. We deserve total transparency and clear guidelines, not unpredictable zoning decisions. As someone who lives in Boone County, works in Lebanon, and invests money right back into the city, this lack of transparency is incredibly insulting. It is disheartening to feel like the city we support can't do the same for the people who have invested their lives in this community. When a sweeping zoning change is pushed through without a concept plan, it sends a clear negative message to the people who build and sustain in this community. I am asking you to protect the people who have invested their lives in this community. Before a single acre is rezoned or annexed, the public deserves a definitive, transparent concept plan. We deserve a guarantee of rigorous buffer zones and strict use limitations to protect our properties and what is left of the quality of our life. Because of the direct personal threat this poses to my home and my peace of mind, I respectfully urge you to vote against recommending the LEAP zoning classification for docket 26-20. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional public comment?
Good evening, Brett Hine. I also live at 1495 North, 500 West. As an adjacent property owner to this proposed 53.6 acre annexation, I am here to oppose any additional annexations until the current ordinances for the LEAP zoning have been reviewed. My opposition is based on these following issues. One being the loss of farmland. There's no demonstrated need to transfer more of our farmland into this LEAP district other than to keep adding parcels to this concept plan. 5,800-ish acres is what I could add up that's been acquired already to date, probably more. A large portion of this has been farmland. This acreage just adds more puzzle pieces to the mega site, which I don't have the picture of the concept plan that's normally out there, but it says mega site. When and where do you stop? How much more land needs to be added to this, and at what cost would it take? Then there's a lack of neighbor protections. The current ordinances do not protect existing homeowners. There are just too many loopholes, and residents are left with little to no recourse. Then there's no construction phase rules. There are no ordinances in place today to protect neighbors from the severe noise, light, dust, and traffic impacts during the construction phase of these massive projects, AKA Meta and the Lilly project. Take a drive. Better yet, take a daytime drive and a nighttime drive out west of town, north of town, and just take a look at, the impact that it's doing to the community. The current ordinances apply only to the finished projects, but nothing in place for the construction phase. Approving this zoning without first reviewing and revising the current ordinances could lead to additional businesses being rubber stamped just because they check a box within the LEAP approved businesses. The city should not expand, as we're seeing right now. It's a complete expansion, the boundaries any further until the existing ordinances are fixed to protect the property rights and the quality of life of established residents. I urge the commission to vote against this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comment? Seeing no additional comments coming towards the microphone, I am going to officially close the public comment period on docket 26-20. So the public comment period was opened and closed officially on docket 26-20. Are there any additional questions from the commission or anything Ben would like to add? Yes.
What was the use variance on that property to the east?
So the property to the east there, the Mortensen general contracting team for the Meta site requested to use it, I guess in this case, as an off-site laydown yard, because it was not part of their original construction perimeter. So if it were quote unquote on-site, We allow temporary installations like that as part of construction, but because even though it's directly adjacent and contiguous to the construction site, it is technically off-site. And so we don't differentiate from properties that are directly adjacent or 5 miles away. So they did have to get, and we don't have provisions for off-site temporary laydown yards. So that was the use variance, was to allow it to be used temporarily for the next 2 years for a laydown yard for the construction site.
So it's a temporary use?
It's temporary, yes.
Okay. Other than that, it's still just LEAP.
It is zoned LEAP, yes.
And all the boundaries and buffers and everything still apply to what's
Correct.
there and to what this would be if it was added.
Yes, yes. If this became, if this were assigned the LEAP zoning district, all of the buffers, et cetera, would have to be met in order to develop.
Was it like 300 feet again? Is that right?
Yeah, the building setback is 300 feet. I think that's also, I believe 300 feet is the buffer between development and existing residents, if there are existing houses out there. So yes, there are buffers required.
Right. Okay.
Ben, can you, I don't know if you're the person or not, but can you address the concern about issues regarding the during construction versus after completion, noise and light, concerns, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so it is a good point. What we're doing is we're attempting, or I say not attempting, what we're doing is applying portions of our permanent light standards and things like that to temporary lighting, because temporary lighting isn't specifically addressed in our ordinance. So we're applying permanent light standards to them, particularly glares, et cetera. We're trying to address those because that's something that directly affects the neighbors. So that's what we're doing. We do have requirements related to construction at night, but there's only restrictions if the construction is taking place specifically within a residential district or within 500 feet of a residential district. And so this site is zoned LEAP, so it's not any residential district, and they're being they're careful about making sure that they're not working at nighttime within 500 feet of any adjoining residential property. So they're able to work at night as long as they're not working within 500 feet of a residential property.
Yeah, 500 feet doesn't necessarily protect residences that are out there.
Correct, yeah, when
from the
you're
noise
working in
and
big farm
light.
fields, 500 feet is not much.
Also, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's some OSHA standards, and OSHA is regulated from a federal level.
Yes.
That prohibits.
Yeah, so if you're working at night, there are minimum lighting standards that have to be met to meet those OSHA requirements. So that's what we're trying to balance here. They have to meet those OSHA standards, and then we're trying to apply primarily the glare standard to make sure, because that's the big issue, is the light sources are causing glares. So, while this is unrelated, I might as well talk about it. We have been working with the Mortensen team for several months. They're working on probably about 4 or 5 different solutions, including actually meeting with some of the neighbors specifically to try to find a specific solution that will help with them. So they are looking at ways to address the lighting. They're going to put them on. They'll all be remote. That's going to take some time because there's just not a whole bunch of remote lights that you can just pick up at the local hardware store like that. So having to order remote lights and replacing existing, so that way if they're not working in an area at night, they can turn them off remote. They're looking at doing some screening walls on the adjacent properties that would provide some screening where they know that there is an existing residential home that might need some additional screening. So they are looking at as many things as they can to help try to address it. But it is an issue. It is bright at night. There's a lot of light that they have to meet those OSHA requirements. So we're trying to find other ways to mitigate it to help out with some of the neighbors.
Another item go ahead.
So the use for the concept plan for that property to the east right now, what is it in there? It's not part of the
There
mega
is,
site, or-
yeah. So it's essentially they're just going to pave it, and then so that they can use it for both.
But I'm talking about in the future. I mean, right now we have the
There
mega
is
site.
to the property to the east.
Yeah, to the east. I mean, to the south, it's more the mega site property.
So
What is it in the
actually these aren't mega site properties. They're actually advanced manufacturing. The only
That's what
mega
they
site
are.
is the 1,500 acres.
That's
That
what-
is the
okay.
meta site. So everything else is in the advanced manufacturing subdistrict. There is not a concept plan for any of the sites directly around this outside of the meta site, which has construction plans.
Okay.
Those plans will all have to be submitted to our office. There will be further public hearings for any specific
obviously.
development that's proposed. So nothing would be able to be constructed out there without additional public hearings and additional neighbor notices. So this will not be something that, even if it is zone LEAP, that they be able to start constructing something without additional notification, additional public hearings.
And it's something that wouldn't be anywhere near the size of some of the buildings they're building right now.
There's just not enough acreage for that that's out there
Yeah,
right now.
It's not.
Procedurally, tonight, we're not voting on annexation. We are simply making a recommendation to the council who will vote on the
Yes.
annexation.
Yeah, and it is 100% voluntary annexation, so there's not much that in terms of legal recourse for 100% voluntary annexation like that, as long as it meets the contiguity requirements. Certainly, the Plan Commission could decide if they wanted another additional step in the future as development happens here. You could always just assign the default R1 zoning classification to it. The annexation would still move forward, but it could just be assigned. That's the other option here is to look, let's just add an additional step to require a rezone later and assign the R1 if you so chose.
And that was going to be my question, just from a legal perspective. We have a petition in front of us as a plan commission. We are bound as a commission to give a recommendation to the council, correct? So
Correct.
this has to forward with some sort of a recommendation into one of the zoning classifications legally. Which classification is to the interpretation? But
It's also worth noting that is a recommendation to council. They will decide what the zoning classification.
And our step is kind of to review what your team has completed in their review. And if we're convinced that, yes, you guys did your due diligence, then we kind of are obligated to move forward. We need to have a good reason not to. Is that right?
Obligated's probably not the correct word. So yeah, as Corey said, you do have to provide a recommendation, but there are two both perfectly acceptable ways to proceed. You could, based on our recommendation, assign a zoning classification that matches the future land use designation in the comprehensive plan. Or you could, because there isn't a development proposed, you could always just assign the default R1 zoning classification. Those are both perfectly reasonable conclusions tonight.
any additional questions from the commission? That I would entertain any motions.
I'll motion docket 2620 that the Plan Commission recommend the LEAP zoning classification for the proposed annexation territory to the Common Council.
Motion to forward with LEAP. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Just because there was some discussion, I think we will go ahead and do a roll call vote on this one, please.
And Bayshore,
No.
Diane Scott,
Yes.
Kevin Krulik,
Yes.
Corey Coons,
Yes.
Keith Campbell,
Yes.
Morris Jones,
Yes.
Matt Reynolds,
Yes.
Lori Gross.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Commission. And thank you for the good questions and discussions. That's going to lead us into our next item, which is, again, very similar, docket 26-21. And Ben, if you want to give us the background on this one.
Yeah, so this is again a 100% voluntary annexation that was filed by the property owner. In this case, it as well as a different legal entity. It is the same applicant or petitioner as the last two. In this case, it's Brent Smith Family Shelter Trust. This is an 80-acre parcel that's actually now we're looking at the south side of the LEAP district. You can see the boundary to the north there, which is 50 south. That is the extent of the current annexed territory that's in the LEAP district you see there. Again, similar to the last two, this does not have a current development proposed. There is not a current concept plan that has been submitted for this property. In this case, though, different than the others, this falls outside of the LEAP or light industrial future land use designations on the map you see here highlighted in yellow. This is actually an area that when we did this 2 years ago, we didn't contemplate there would be developments in the next 5 years. So we left it in the ag land use designation. However, we don't have an agricultural zoning district. So in this case, based on this future land use designation, I would recommend that we maintain or recommend the R1 default zoning classification for this annexed territory. That is our lowest density residential zoning classification and is the default zoning classification for any annexed territories.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions from the commission? Okay. So similarly, this item is a public hearing item, so we will officially open the public hearing on docket 26-21. Please keep your comments brief. If you have any comments, feel free to step towards the microphone.
Red Hine, 1495 North, 500 West. Just some very general questions. I did read in the document that this is asked to be zoned as R1, I believe. Is that
Yeah, that's the recommendation.
just why R1? Is there a specific reason? I'm just curious. It's currently ag. It's always been ag. As Ben said, it's just right adjacent to the current LEAP. So why not LEAP where the other property is, being asked to be LEAP? I'm just genuinely curious what the reasoning, why you would do R1 instead of LEAP. Thank you.
Thank you. We will address those after the public comment period, so I do have notes on that. Any additional public comment? Seeing none, I will officially close the public comment period on docket 26-21. So the public comment was both open and closed. And Ben, if you can just address that for us real quick.
Yeah, I think just to kind of reiterate what I discussed, I want to pull the map back up here. So this falls outside what the city, when we did the comprehensive plan update a couple years ago, determined would be the extensive LEAP, which we essentially used 50 South as the perimeter. So, I guess as the plan commission, your responsibility is to either consider a comprehensive plan designation and assign it to the parcel as we did the last two, consider a concept plan, particularly if it's something that may be different than what is proposed in the comprehensive plan, or just assign the default R1 zoning classification. So that's what we recommend in this case. Because it is outside of the LEAP district boundary in the comprehensive plan, we felt like it was best just to go ahead and assign the default R1 zoning classification. As I mentioned, we don't have an agricultural zoning classification in the city, and R1 is our lowest density, least intense residential zoning classification, which is why we use that one as a default for annexations if there's not something else proposed, or if there's not something in the comprehensive plan that would suggest some other land use or zoning district. So that's why we recommended R1 in this case.
Say R1 is probably the most restrictive of.
Yes, it would be the largest lot sizes, the largest house sizes, et cetera. So that's why we use that as a default, because it's the most restrictive, the least dense, those sorts of things.
And remind me, do we go to R4 or R6?
6.
R6 now. So R6 being, it can be
dense. It allows
apartments, townhomes.
Yeah, it
kind
allows
of
the most
all
residential
together.
types at the highest density. So R1 would be the least amount of residential types at the lowest densities.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And I'm just trying to remember use in LEAP. If something is in LEAP, can it be used for agriculture until it's?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And just like, but R1's the same way.
Same way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Any additional questions from the commission? Seeing none, I would entertain any motions on docket 2621.
Motion docket 2621, that the Plan Commission recommend to the Common Council the residential R1 zoning classification for the proposed annexed territory.
A motion, do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Does the commission have, should we go ahead and do a roll call? Just standard? Let's do a roll call real quick. Sorry.
Dan Bayshore? Yes. Diane Scott? Yes. Kevin Krulik? Corey Kuntz?
Yes.
Keith Campbell?
Yes.
Matt Reynolds?
Yes.
Morris Jones?
Yes.
Lori Gross?
Yes.
That was relatively painless. Thank you, guys. Sorry. All right, so that item has been considered. Again, we're skipping over item D on the agenda as that's continued. Item E on our agenda is docket 26-27, which is Orla LLC with regards to right-of-way on 400 West. Ben?
Thank you. So this is a request that we knew was going to be coming at some point. And maybe if they want to pull the screen up, maybe I'll go to this page. And this is the concept plan for the LEAP district. What you can't see in here is where existing State Road 32 alignment, the curve kind of happens somewhere in here. And so site 18, which is the Orla LLC meta site, actually is on both sides of existing State Road 32. It straddles it, and contemplated State Road 32 being realigned to the alignment, more close to the alignment that you see here, in order to essentially construct State Road 32 along the southern boundary of what would be site 18 or the meta site. So we knew at some point State Road 32 was going to be constructed and realigned. The state was going to vacate existing State Road 32 to the Orla team because they're the owners on both sides. And then Orla was going to be finishing the remainder of their regions that essentially extend to the south, which would require 400 West. And actually the next item on the agenda, 300 West, for those rights of way for those county roads to be vacated to accommodate their site. So that is what's happening now. And I'm glad Kevin was here. He can give us a little bit of an update on the State Road 32 construction. I know it is underway. My understanding is there have been some closures on 400 West and possibly 300 West already that would affect this area. But what this would do then is this would, if I go back to the first page here, now that I've taken a little bit more. This one's really big too. I have to zoom out. It's highlighted in the light blue bubble there would be the segment of 400 West. At the very north end is existing State Road 32. And at the south end, it actually stops at the proposed right-of-way for the new State Road 32 on the south end there. So this would close the segment that would be in the midst of the Meta project site, and will allow for them to continue construction south of State Road 32. With that, maybe I'll pause and let Kevin give us a quick update on State Road 32 construction and the timing, because I think they're supposed to have it open and substantially complete before the end of the year.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't use the term substantially complete.
Okay.
So they are currently, it's primarily in the earthwork and inching into the storm sewer phase. Most of the pavement areas have been lime stabilized. They are planning to have it, the term they would probably prefer I use is open to traffic by the end of the year. So that would mean having curbs and pavement down and being able to open the road to traffic, but things like landscaping, seating, paths and walkways and pedestrian bridges along the corridor would be spring of 2027 construction. There's also, I know the next item on the agenda is 300 West. There will be a vacation of portions of 50 North that will become the new 32 corridor east of 300. But for right now, that has to stay open because they have to maintain access to, I think there's 3 to 5 homes right there that need access, of course, until the new alignment is completed. Is that questions I can offer to, or answers I can offer to any questions?
Thank you very much, Kevin.
I think the conclusion I want to reach based on that discussion is there will be a period of time if the vacation of 400, I guess 400 and 300 West was adopted by council, where we'd be looking for routes around for folks that live south of this area until State Road 32 is complete, and then they could continue at 400 and 300 to new State Road 32. So that was definitely one of the considerations we looked at here to make sure that there was access and routes around. Certainly not the most convenient routes, obviously, but make sure that there were options. So again, what we have for here tonight is a vacation request for this segment of 400 West. It's a, let me make sure I'm on the right page here. It's about 1,600 feet of right of way from State Road 32 south to what would be the new right of way for the new State Road 32. And so what we wanted to look at and what we'll see, let me pull up my aerial photography here. That's a little bit, shows a little bit wider area. All right, and zoom back in because nobody can see that. So what we wanted to look at here, what I did is I highlighted the meta construction site. I highlighted in blue what would be the new State Road 32 alignment, and then highlighted the two segments that would be closed. As you can see, if you look further south, down closer to 50 South, there are a handful of homes that are still down in this area on 400 West. So if this vacation was approved, they would not have direct access to existing State Road 32 along this route. I'm not sure how frequently they will have access anyway because of the construction. But their route would either be to go west and then up 500 West, or come east and then use the new 200 West right away that's here to the east. So again, not the most convenient route, but there are two ways to get up to State Road 32 from that area. And so we wanted to make sure, again, while it might not be the most convenient route, that there are at least two ways that they could get up to State Road 32. So that would be something that would be, I would want you to make sure that we're considering as part of that is making sure that they have, while they don't have most convenient access, they do have access a couple of different ways to get where they need to go. So again, vacation, similar to annexation, this is a multi-step process. So the Planning Commission's responsibility is to provide a recommendation on the vacation request. That recommendation does get forwarded to the Common Council, and then they would consider the actual vacation via ordinance. So that is the Planning Commission's responsibility here tonight. Look at the potential impacts that the vacation might cause, and then provide a recommendation based on that to the Common Council in order for them to consider the vacation ordinances. So again, similar to the last three we did, you are required to make a recommendation. It could be a positive recommendation for the vacation, or it could be a negative recommendation for the vacation request. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ben.
Maybe more of a question maybe for Kevin, or if you know Ben, but with the homeowners, a handful of homeowners there on 400 West, once construction of the new Align 32, will they have access on 400 again?
Yes.
Yes, there'll be a roundabout at the intersection of 400 and 32.
Yeah, so what we're really talking about it here is, while it will be a significant inconvenience, a convenience for the next 7 or 8 months, maybe at the most.
Any other questions for Ben? Seeing none, we'll move on to the public hearing portion of this.
The applicant is here. If maybe provide a little bit of an update on the construction process, why they're making this request now.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, Ben.
Hello, everybody. My name is John Flaxbeard. I'm the civil engineer on the Domino side of things, on the on-site construction efforts. I appreciate your guys' time today to review our application. I think Ben, as always, did a pretty phenomenal job of explaining what we're proposing here, why we're proposing it. As Ben stated, this kind of comes down to allowing the Orla site to start construction south of 32. We've been working with the SR 32 design and construction team on their work along Orla's property. And my understanding is the efforts are already underway to reroute traffic away from the SR 32 portions on 400 West and 300 West, as those areas are under construction. Yeah, I think Ben did a phenomenal job of explaining this, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Any questions from the commission, the applicant? Good deal. Thank you for being here. So with that, we will then go ahead and open the public hearing portion for docket 26-27. If anyone has any comments, please feel free to step towards the microphone. Seeing no movement towards the microphone, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. So the public hearing for docket 26-27 has been officially opened and closed. If there are no additional comments from the commission, I would entertain any motions.
One more quick point of clarification. It just dawned on me. the construction of the new alignment is preventing the access to State Road 32 as it is now. Is that
I
accurate?
don't know that it's permanently closed, but there have been
Along
some temporary.
400, it's open. It's a gravel road through there, and so they are maintaining access, active construction site. I think it frequently is blocked for deliveries and things of that nature, but it's technically open to through traffic right now.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments? I would entertain any motions.
I'll make a motion to submit the request for vacation of County Road 400 West per the exhibit to the Common Council with a favorable recommendation.
We have a motion for a favorable recommendation. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry unanimously. All right, so I show one more item, and we've already kind of gotten into this one a little bit, which is docket 26-28. So Ben, if you'll just get us up to speed there, we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I'll make this one quick because the conversation is very, very similar to the one we just had, except for in this case, we're talking County Road 300 West rather than County Road 400 West. And you'll see that highlighted again in the blue cloud as soon as I zoom in here. And this again is the segment that would be between the existing State Road 32 at the north and then what would be the new State Road 32 alignment to the south. And again, this would be vacating this right away and allowing the Orla construction team to begin doing earthwork on the south side of State Road 32 within this area that is part of their development. So again, very similar discussion to last time. This would be a vacation of existing right-of-way on County Road 300 West to accommodate the Orla LLC construction site in anticipation of the new State Road 32 alignment that would run along the south end of this area. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
And I do see a couple of spots on that map that appear to be buildings or something of those of
Yeah.
that sort. Is that anything?
None of those are occupied Oh, you mean right there along that segment?
Yeah, on that. So,
Those have all been acquired and are not occupied at this point.
okay, thank you.
Property owners to the south still have access to 32 via 50.
Yeah, so if we want to go back to that map, very similar circumstance as what we discussed previously. They have the same access to head south, go over to 500, or head south and go east to 200 west to provide access, or to provide them access back to State Road 32.
Any additional questions for Ben? You're welcome to tell us more, but you're not obligated. Sounds good. Thank you very much. So seeing no additional questions, I will go ahead and open the public hearing then on docket 26-28. This is in reference to 300 West. So if you have any public comment, please feel free to step towards the microphone. Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. So the public hearing on docket 26-28 has been officially opened and closed. If there are no additional questions or comments, I would entertain any motions.
A motion that the planning staff recommend to the Common Council a favorable recommendation for the vacation request.
Got a motion for favorable recommendation. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry unanimously. Thank you very much, folks. I believe that concludes all of the items on our docket this evening. Again, just a reminder, item D will be continued to that June 15th meeting. That will be the next regular meeting of the Lebanon Plan Commission, which is Monday, June 15th at 7 p.m. And with that, unless there's anything else for the good of the group, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. We've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.